What is going on, YouTube? What's going on, fellow fantasy people? And as always, what is going on, the Catch fam? You already know what time it is, man. We are rolling right into another mock draft. I'm rolling with an 8-man mock draft at the 6th overall selection, PPR scoring format, and obviously through that of the Yahoo platform at the moment. As always, guys, go ahead and smash that like button if you guys do find this video enjoyable or helpful in any way, as it truly helps out the channel and gives us the little boost in the YouTube algorithm. And as always, man, we are on the road to 100 subscribers, getting closer and closer day by day. Literally takes 2 seconds to hit that sub button. Come on, man. You know you want a little bit of the catch in your life day in and day out, man. Go ahead and hit that sub button. It truly helps us out more than anything else you can possibly do today. And as always, man, please let me know in the comments down below what type of mock drafts you guys need to see before you do draft. I'm happy to pump out a request for you guys if there's something specific you need to see. But also go check out some of our other videos, man. We have got a ton of mock drafts already uploaded that you might find helpful as well. So go ahead and find those down below while you're hitting that sub button, man. And I stopped kind of announcing this throughout the week, but I am at the beach, so my setup is completely different. I'm in very different attire than usual as well, but just enjoying myself out here, on vacation with my wife and family, and as well as, uh, very much so enjoying pumping out these mock drafts and content for you guys while I am on vacation, because that makes me as happy as anything. You guys know that I am here for you and the catch is here for you. But nonetheless, I will stop rambling and let's get right into this mock draft. So with this 6th overall selection, I would definitely say that Nick Chubb would be my top target. If he does get selected, then we should have an opportunity to get Zeke, Henry, Kamara, or Aaron Jones. So I'm going to be happy with any of these guys right here as my RB1. With that 11th overall selection, we could turn around and get a very elite wide receiver. And I think in an 8-man league is really the only league that I would consider doing so. You guys know that I'm very RB heavy overall. But in an 8-man league, you have more flexibility. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good receivers who are going to be available later on from the same perspective. But I think in an 8-man league, you can more than likely go RB receiver, QB, RB tight end, and then just fill out your roster with running backs and receivers, excuse me. So there's a lot more flexibility overall in an 8-man league, and regardless, man, you're going to have a lot of talent on the waiver wire week in and week out, and you're going to have a lot of talent on your bench as well. So let's pick up Nick Chubb. You guys know how much I like Nick Chubb. I'm really high on Nick Chubb this season. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think that Browns offense as a whole is going to absolutely be much improved, as we've seen Saquon Barkley and Tyreek Hill off of the board. So now Aaron Jones still sitting here and Devontae Adams. I would assume those are the next two players who get selected. And let's see when we draft here in the 3rd round. Picks 22 and 27 as Aaron Jones is off the board. So we can still go out and get some pretty valuable players here in the 3rd and 4th round. If Devontae Adams gets selected here, then I do think it makes sense to look at the running back position, but also Travis Kelce sitting here. Najee Harris is off the board, man. I like that pick a lot at pick 10, but let's add Devontae Adams to this roster. Let's not pass up that talent. And now we know we can take quite a break from the receiver position. And man, coming out of a draft, whether it's an 8-man league or a 14-man league, if you somehow wind up with Nick Chubb and Devontae Adams, you're going to feel very solid about the beginning of your draft. So that being said, with the 22nd selection and the 27th selection, I would realistically target 2 running backs here and essentially get that spot out of the way. But there's going to be some good tight ends available. We might be able to get the best quarterback in the league, and that of Patrick Mahomes. So there's a lot of options here. I can tell you in an 8-man league, I would definitely be targeting Patty Mahomes. I think you have the best likelihood of not paying a high price and not having to sacrifice at other positions, right? We already have an absolute stud receiver and an absolute stud running back, man. So I think if anything, you could definitely consider Patrick Mahomes. If he does fall to 22, it's very likely he gets selected beforehand as well. So a lot of good players, a lot of good talent to keep monitoring here. But nonetheless, if we don't go with a QB or tight end here, we could turn around and get two running backs, potentially David Montgomery and James Robinson that we really like. So definitely a lot of guys to observe here. I mean, Joe Mixon's still sitting on the board. Our first tight end, Travis Kelce, is off of the board as well. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is sitting in there, who we've been a little weary of overall due to that injury. There goes Calvin Ridley. So nonetheless, a lot of good talent sitting here, man. We're going to end up with some pretty good players overall. I can tell you, if Joe Mixon falls to us here at 22, I think that is probably going to be the best selection overall here, as we see D-Hop and DK Metcalf off the board. But nonetheless, a lot of really good players sitting here. I mean, it's going to be hard to pass up on that of Patty Mahomes as CEH is off the board. Joe Mixon is sitting here. So we'll see what happens. It's very likely Joe Mixon gets selected here. Let's see who's on Alex's depth chart. He's got two running backs, so it's also likely that he does not go RB here, but I won't blame him if he goes out and gets three running backs to start his draft, right? So we will see. I mean, Darren Waller sitting here, like I've already stated. Patty Mahomes is sitting here. Justin Jefferson off the board, a good selection there. So let's pick up Joe Mixon, make him our RB2, stay in that same division within our running backs. And now with this 27th selection, I have a gut feeling that Patrick Mahomes is going to go off the board. But if he does not, then we'll pick up Patty Mahomes, who just got selected. So never mind, we won't. And now we know that we're either going to get David Montgomery or James Robinson, and then we can take a step back from the running back position, and we have a very good core roster to start the day. So let me know in the comments down below, would you rather pick David Montgomery or James Robinson? I like both of these guys a lot. I'm just going to roll with David Montgomery for the sake of this mock draft. Maybe it would have made more sense to get James Robinson, who has a different bye week than Joe Mixon. But nonetheless, we started off this draft with three running backs we're very confident in, and we've got an absolute stud, probably the best receiver in the league in Davante Adams, right? So feeling very good overall. If James Robinson slides out to pick 38, then we'll go ahead and add him. But my top target right here is actually going to be George Kittle. I would really, really feel confident if we added that just really tremendous value at the tight end position to this roster. If he does get picked up, then we'll go ahead and add maybe one of those Tampa Bay wide receivers if they're available sitting there, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So let's go ahead and queue up a couple guys. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to last, but if he does, we'll definitely pick him up, right? Man, I've gotten pretty wary of Chris Carson as a whole. Let me know in the comments down below where you guys stand with that of Chris Carson at the moment. I mean, I had him last year in fantasy, and definitely a big fan, but I'm just a little wary at the running back position for the Seattle Seahawks at the moment. So let me know where you guys stand with that. Maybe give me some confidence in going out and targeting him. Someone who I was really targeting, earlier in the preseason / offseason in these mock drafts, who I've just become a little leery of overall. So three more selections until we pick. Looking relatively unlikely that we're going to be able to get one of those Tampa Bay wide receivers or George Kittle, who is now off of the board. But nonetheless, we will see what happens. There's still a lot of other good players we could pick from here. Robert Woods, Amari Cooper. We could go with another running back like Gus Edwards or Josh Jacobs and get us some pretty good overall talent at the running back position. But we feel pretty confident in the three running backs that we already have. But you guys know me. To me, it never hurts to add another running back, right? So Gus Edwards off the board, and our turn is up next. So that guarantees us one of those Tampa Bay wide receivers who I'm going to be happy to go ahead and select here and pair them with that of Davante Adams and give us two absolute stud wide receivers to roll into the season with. And then with that 43rd overall selection, we'll either target that of Josh Jacobs, or we'll turn around and try and get a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson or a Kyler Murray. So nonetheless, I feel pretty confident overall so far in this draft. So let's add Chris Godwin. I would have really liked to pick up George Kittle and get that that last elite tight end in that tier there. But nonetheless, we will keep moving on, as I think we're going to end up with a very good roster overall. So 2 more selections until we pick Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs wiped off the board, man. So there's a lot of different things we could do here, right? Would it be crazy to target Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray in an 8-man league? I don't think so. I really don't, right? But nonetheless, I mean, we could add another receiver here. There's a lot of good receivers sitting here at the top. We could take a chance on Kyle Pitts. It's really our pick here. I mean, we could do a lot of different things, right? Let's go out and let's pick up Lamar Jackson and let's see if we can secure 2 quarterbacks. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but why not, man? In an 8-man league, like I've talked about, and you need top value every week. Why not? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of running backs sitting here that I just don't know if they present really great value. Now, I can tell you another guy I'd like to target here would be Julio Jones. Maybe that would make more sense than going out and getting another quarterback. We've got some pretty good RBs sitting here, Mike Davis and Damian Harris. We've still got a lot of good receivers. I mean, we did pass on Amari Cooper, who I think would have been a really good roster addition, as well as Robert Woods and DJ Moore and my co-host's favorite player this year, Brandon Ayuk. So I think there's a lot of good value here, and that's really when you're doing an 8-man draft, you're probably going to be saying that for some time. I mean, you're really not going to be drafting bad players for a majority of your draft. So I think this could get pretty interesting pretty quickly as if we do go out and get another quarterback here. That is, so we'll see. But I can tell you, I would really feel confident in drafting Julio Jones if this was my actual draft and adding him to this receiver core of Devonte Adams and Chris Godwin, and I'm pretty positive if we do that, Kyler Murray's not going to fall to us. But would be interesting to go out and get having Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray on your team would be just absolutely insane. And don't get me wrong, in a 10-man and 12-man league, that's actually possible too. If you have the right picks and the right guys fall to you and enough skill position players are going, it could certainly happen. So nonetheless, we see a lot of receivers that we like here who could definitely all get picked. And there goes Kyler Murray, so that's not an opportunity anymore. There goes Damian Harris. So my top target here is Julio Jones. I wouldn't mind a DJ Moore or a Brandon Ayuk either, but I like those guys in that tier there as we see Russell Wilson off of the board. I wouldn't mind Adam Thielen on this team. And then we kind of move into that next tier of guys like Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, and I don't mind any of those guys either, but it looks like we're going to be able to select DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, or Julio Jones. Now, man, I can tell you DJ Moore's strength of schedule is just absolutely insane, man. I'm just based on that strength of schedule, I'm picking up DJ Moore. And then we're going to take a chance and see if Julio falls to us at pick 59. And if he does, then we'll roll with Julio Jones. If he does not, then we could take a chance on a tight end like TJ Hawkinson. We could take a chance on a guy like Daryl Henderson. Let's see if they've got an updated injury report. No, just Sean McVay is saying that he's going to have a very, very big role in that offense. So, nonetheless, as much as I've talked about Julio throughout this mock draft thus far, my top targets here are Julio Jones and Daryl Henderson, and then I would put Brandon Ayuk in the conversation as well. But a lot of good players available here, man. I think that Daryl Henderson kind of gives us the last tier of value as Julio Jones is selected. But very likely that both of these guys do get picked here. We could move into, taking a chance on a guy like Trey Sermon, right? We could take a chance on a guy like Kareem Hunt or even that of Myles Gaskin. I mean, that Miami Dolphins backfield is kind of hard to read. So let me know in the comments down below how you guys are feeling about Myles Gaskin at the moment. Also, let me know, would you have picked Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson? Because I actually picked Lamar Jackson just because he was higher up on the rankings, and I was kind of trying to see if we could get Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. But personally, I'm a little bit higher on that of Kyler Murray overall. So let's add Daryl Henderson to this roster. I don't get this, man. You've got a player projected at over 1,200 rushing yards, about 8 to 9 touchdowns, and over 400 receiving yards and receiving touchdown, and he's still ranked so low overall. I mean, I just don't understand that. But nonetheless, it helps us out in this mock draft. I don't know if realistically that's going to be a player you can get at that point in the draft, but nonetheless, we'll keep moving along here. So let's go ahead and check the tight end position. And I mean, TJ Hawkinson's still sitting here, which I know some people are starting to become leery of due to that injury, but he just got selected. I was going to say, if he fell to pick 70, I just wouldn't pass up the talent. There's no way I could. But let's take a quick glance at this roster. We've got 4 more spots in a tight end to fill. So I would like to get both Robert Tonyan and Mike Gesicki on this team. So that means that we can go out and target a couple, more skill position players. I wouldn't mind getting another receiver as probably our top, kind of target here. I mean, a guy like Jerry Jeudy, I think, seems like every mock draft I conduct, I pick up Jerry Jeudy, but I don't have a problem with that. And I think him and Deontay Johnson, as well as Brandon Ayuk, who's still sitting here, are our top targets overall. And then we would probably want to take a risk on a guy like Javonte Williams, who was absent in practice on Monday, but I don't really care about that, right? He has such an easy strength of schedule, and man, this guy is fast. I don't know if you guys have watched some of his preseason tape, man. He is quick, man. And I like Melvin Gordon a lot. I'm not ready to write Melvin Gordon off. Let's see what they've gotten here. Rushes for 35, 5 times for 35 yards. But I don't know, man. I really, really feel pretty good about Javonte Williams overall. So that being said, those are our next 2 targets. We want Jerry Jeudy and Javonte Williams, and a big part of that has to do with their strength of schedule as a whole. And that's something that I've really started to talk about a lot on this channel, and I definitely think that it needs to be taken into consideration. But with that being said, that's based off of last year, and defenses can make big jumps. Let's go ahead and draft Jerry Jeudy and really become better defenses in just a year. So keep that in mind as well. But nonetheless, I'm happy with that selection of Jerry Jeudy. Wouldn't have mind T. Higgins or Deontay Johnson there. Robbie Anderson still sitting here. Someone else who has a very easy strength of schedule. Melvin Gordon, the third off of the board. But we know that we want to go out and get Javonte Williams here. I wouldn't mind Ronald Jones either. I think they both present pretty good value overall. But I'll take a chance on Javonte Williams here. And we might see Ronald Jones fall to us with that 86 overall selection. And now that we have 4 bench players, we do want to also be adding a tight end and potentially a tight end too. If we could come out of this with both Robert Tonyan and Mike Gesicki, we'd feel very good overall, but that would probably mean that we need to go ahead and pick a tight end. And the more and more mock drafts I'm doing, I'm really just making Mike Gesicki my tight end 1 because you can hold off for so long and still get him. I'd rather pair him with a guy like Robert Tonyan or Tyler Higbee or Logan Thomas, right? But even if I go and I get Mike Gesicki and I wait and I get a guy like Gronk, I'm going to feel really confident at the tight end position. Those were 2 of your tight ends in the top 6 last year between Tonyan and Gronk. So I don't have a problem with those guys being the 2 tight ends on my team. And if you can also get a Mike Gesicki in there, I mean, I would draft all 3 of those guys and feel fine. So making a lot of selections based off of, personal belief here. And Jalen Hurts sitting here would be a really nice quarterback to pair with Lamar Jackson, as we feel pretty confident at the running back position at this point in time. But it also doesn't hurt to add a Ronald Jones. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 running backs, so that would be our final selection. I'm fine with just 4 receivers on the squad. I'm confident in these 4 receivers, man. We now see Tyler Higbee off the board. So here's my thought process at the moment. Can add another QB like a Jalen Hurts who potentially gives us elite value to pair with Lamar Jackson. We can add a running back who has the potential to be an RB1, or we can go out and get a tight end that we're super super confident in overall. Let's draft Jalen Hurts. Why not, man? Let's get a second quarterback and let's see if Ronald Jones, who did not fall to us, let's see if he falls to us. Didn't happen. He got selected. But man, I feel pretty good about these running backs overall. And I starting to like the idea of going out and getting two potential elite top 5 quarterbacks on the year. So I don't mind both Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts on this team. With that selection of Ronald Jones getting selected there, now we want to turn around and we want to solidify the tight end position and get a guy that we're super confident in that of Robert Tonyan, and then that gives us a little bit more flexibility. Let's go ahead and pick him up. Let's see. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can just kind of wait to this 102nd selection and pick a Mike Gesicki, or we can pick another receiver, or we can see if there's a running back that we really, really want on this team. So Corey Davis sitting here is my top target at the receiver position, with that of Callaway as well, the New Orleans Saints. Let's look at the running backs. There's nobody I would want here. I mean, in deeper leagues, absolutely, right? But looking at the running backs that we already have on this team, man, there's no one that I would feel would really benefit this team, as we are pretty confident in these 5 running backs that we've gone out and selected. So I think that this team has a lot of good depth, but the least amount of depth is probably going to be at the receiver and tight end position. So uh, I would probably consider forfeiting a kicker or defense if it meant that we could go out and get Corey Davis and Mike Gesicki on this squad. I think that would probably be what I would do from a realistic standpoint. And then I would go out and, I mean, the other option is we could reach a little early for a defense, as Tampa Bay is available and Baltimore is available as well. I would say that Baltimore is the defense I would want out of those two defenses, but I mean, that would add very good value to this roster as well. So really, that might actually be what I do, man. And then we could just know that we could get Mike Gesicki, we could get Corey Davis. So I mean, there's a lot of options here. I don't really mind going. I think we're going to get good value no matter what we do, but I do believe that Corey Davis is the best wide receiver 1 value on the board at the moment. And I think that he's shown really good chemistry with Zach Wilson. So let's add Corey Davis to this roster. Now we've got a full bench, and I feel very confident with all of those players. And, it wouldn't hurt to add another tight end, but let's see if we can, for the sake of this mock draft, if we can get the Ravens defense here and then turn around and get Mike Gesicki on this squad as well. It'll give us a little bit more of something to look forward to than just waiting on a kicker and or defense. But so yeah, let's go ahead and see what happens as we start to see some other receivers off the board after we picked up Corey Davis. So maybe we applied some pressure into this draft as we see DJ Chark and Devonta Smith off the board. And now Blake Jarwin gets taken, and then Tampa Bay's defense. So let's pick up the Baltimore Ravens defense and give us a pretty good value there at the defensive position. And while we're waiting to see if Mike Gesicki gets drafted or not, as we are going to be forfeiting a kicker here, let's crack down the roster, man. So at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. I think those are 2 really good quarterbacks to pair with one another, being that we haven't seen Jalen Hurts in a full year. You know what you're going to get out of Lamar Jackson week in and week out. So a very good quarterback pairing, a lot of good support amongst one another. So I'm really happy with those 2 guys. At the receiver position, we're led by Devontae Adams, man. I don't think you can be happier with a receiver. Maybe Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs, the only guys I'm really putting up there at the moment with Adams. But then we do have Chris Godwin, who gives us tremendous PPR value and a tremendous offense. And then we went out and got DJ Moore and Jerry Jeudy, who have a tremendously easy strength of schedule, and 2 guys that I'm very confident in to give us wide receiver 1 value. And then we also got Corey Davis at the end of this draft, who gives us wide receiver 1 value as well. So that's a tremendous receiving core. At the running back position, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Daryl Henderson, and Javonte Williams. Very, very confident in those 5 running backs. I think we have 3 running backs that we know we can start week in and week out. And then we're still very confident in Daryl Henderson and Javonte Williams, 2 very good bench players at the position. And then at the tight end position, we went out and we got our guy, Robert Tonyan, very, very, very confident in Robert Tonyan. But now, as our pick is next, we will find out if we can get Mike Gesicki, and we can. We have forfeited a kicker. Let's go ahead and see what kickers are available. Man, there's one more selection in this draft, and Jason Sanders and Rodrigo Blankenship may go undrafted. Absolutely insane. We would have some time to reflect and potentially go out and get one of those kickers before Sunday night, or not Sunday night, Sunday morning, right? Don't add a selection that you need at Sunday night. It's probably going to hurt you, right? But nonetheless, man, very, very happy with this roster. I know it's an 8-man league. Your roster is going to look a lot stronger coming out of an 8-man mock draft or 8-man draft overall. But man, I would be absolutely stoked if I ended up with this roster for a lot of reasons that I went over throughout this mock draft. So, as always, man, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It really, really helps give us that little boost, helps more people see the channel, see these videos overall. Really, really appreciate that, man. And as always, we are on the road to 100 subscribers here at The Catch. Go ahead and help us make that dream a reality. We are getting closer and closer day by day. And as always, man, drop a comment down below with what your thoughts were on this draft and what type of mock drafts you guys need to see before you conduct your personal fantasy football draft. I've got some live streams coming up. We've got our annual The Catch podcast coming out soon. We've got the rest of our ranking videos coming out at the tight end position. So make sure you guys are checking out some of those other videos and check out some of our other mock draft videos, as you guys might find some useful information in there as well. So man, I thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and remember, you saw it here on The Catch.